So given that it's cheshvan, I want to share a little bit about cheshvan. I'm going to use some papers I have from the past. These are, I'm drinking a hot drink. I felt a little dizzy and faint. Today, I felt like super dizzy and faint on the train. Yesterday, I felt a few bouts of dizziness and faintness recently. So, cheshvan is Scorpio, which is some of October, November, the scorpion. Menashe. Menashe is one of Joseph's sons, Menashe and Ephraim. The letter Nun. Some people are nervous about the letter Nun, but in fact, the letter Nun, people are like, oh no, they leave it out of a psalm from King David, and also the letter Nun might be like bent in a way that's like, it's like something negative. Then the letter Nun is 50 levels, 50 gates, 50 wisdom. But the letter Nun is supposed to be a very holy letter. They're all holy, but the letter Nun in and of itself, it symbolizes like feminine. Also the tzaddik, like it's the bent Nun versus like the humble Nun versus the long Nun when it's stretched at the end of a word. Anyway, body part intestines. And Mars, the planet Mars. Mars is actually related to Gevura. This is the passion, energy, power, force, physical exertion, sex. Mars is the most Earth-like despite the thin atmosphere. The seasons and days are almost the same length. Most of the surface is a freezing desert, but once water flowed there. Between Mars and Jupiter, so starting from Mars till Jupiter, there's an asteroid belt. Mars has huge quantities of ice in the polar regions and a very oval orbit, varying its distance from the sun a great deal. Orbit means the circular, like circumference sort of rotating around, right? But it doesn't go in a round circle, it goes in an oval, which means it's elongated. Akrov is the scorpion. This is a fixed water sign. It's an individual sign versus primal and universal. Like we said, the letter Nun. And when we say fixed, we mean it's not mutable and it's not cardinal. And it's all about judging favorably, respect, dignity, order, honor, and kavod. And the feminine, like archetype would be the mekonenet, the morning woman, and maybe the mekonen is the morning man. The problem for this energy field is control and revenge. The solution is empowering others with no agenda. And another body part said to be this month, besides for intestines, is the sex organs. This month is associated with the season of fall and the sense of smell. Now, you have to think that sometimes people who get either Kabbalistic or astrological, some kind of reading, they might want to look up where their Mars is. In other words, when they were born, where was the Mars making a contact with? And we say there's 12 tribes. And for me, for example, my Mars was making contact with Gemini. Gemini, according to the tribes, is Sivan. Sivan would be Zvulun, the letter Zion, the left foot, the twins, and then the planet of Mercury. Mercury is all Hod, daily communication, logic, motion, the how of communication. And you can see this can go on and on, because then I can look up where my Mercury is, and it's in Pisces. And Pisces, would be my mate. Like we would continue it on, and we look up, Mercury, that the smallest planet has extremely thin atmosphere, so heat dissipates quickly. The day side can melt lead, while the night side is bitterly cold. So I would learn a lot about, you could learn about yourself through each month, through how you make up. So this is really could be a calculus for somebody who's interested. And then regarding, we spoke earlier about chesed, about gevura. So I gave an example about how you would look up where your own Mars might be if you have a reliable tool. But let's say we want to look at Mars in general. For all of us is gevura, which is related to the second day of creation. This is Monday. This is when it's dividing the waters. So we know how to sky. And the below became dense, which became like the waters, right? And that's Gevura. And when we learn a little bit about Gevura in general, and we go to the letter Nun, the Scorpio is related to the idea of death. And, the Scorpion actually it runs very deep, intuition, wisdom. And may we all be blessed with wisdom and intuition and patience, really some of the gifts of the Scorpio. Because you have to know when to strike, and it could, and you have to know if you'll be able to be precise. You don't want to give yourself away if it's too soon. So the wisdom of the Scorpion, the patience, and the focus. May we all be blessed with focus. And when it comes to the water sign, we know it's related to the Hay. So there's Yud and Hay and Vav and Hay of God's name. It's related to the first Hay, which is related to the world of Bria, like the vessels, the creation, the cups, the water. And really, Bria is often related to the Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet level of the Sfirot. And that's why we see here it's also Gevurah, and it's a water sign. So it's a Gevurah of a water. And then we know this is like the mother, this is Bina. So may we all have a lot of healing in these areas. And what we mentioned earlier, the asteroid belt, which are rocky metallic bodies, leftover building blocks from when planets were forming. May we have everything be in proper place, and may everything, when I say proper place, I mean, may everything may everything land where it's supposed to land, and move where it's supposed to move, and may we all have goodwill for ourselves and for each other. Spiritual immunity, which is to be either unable to imagine it at all, or having experienced it, make sure it never happens again. Right. Wishing everybody a very good Shabbos Vayera. May everything be fabric for light and life. May everybody who has to pass away for a second be reborn into true love. And for anybody who had to pass away for a second, be reborn into true love.